In this video, I want to give you an overview of how you can use the various image constraint features in Contensis to control the types of images that can be uploaded and inserted into your content. So first of all, let's take a look at this blog post. I've got this entry here and it has a series of image fields. We've got a large image for use at the top of the blog post, a thumbnail image, and we've also got within the body of the blog post itself an image field that can insert images between the page content. So 3 different images, and currently there aren't any constraints applied to these images. Let's take a look at what this page looks like on our demonstration site Leaf. So we can see we've got this hero image, the large image for the blog post. Here we got the image within the content of the post body. And another example of that. And another example of that. And also on the listing page, we can see a series of images here that all have the same width and height. So how do we go about controlling and setting constraints on these images? Well, first of all, we need to head over to the content type. I'll edit the content type directly from the entry. And you can see we've got this image field, primary image, thumbnail image. And then we've got an image field within the post body. So first thing I want us to take a look at is, if we were to take a look at this, this blog post, we can see that most of the content here, left to right, we've got our text, we've got our image that bleeds out of the column. So if I just inspect this page, you can see here that the width of the central column of our web page here with all the content in is 620 pixels wide. We do have an example where an image bleeds out of that and is 808 pixels wide. So we've got a scenario where we want our images to be at least the width of the column if it wasn't going to bleed out. And we've got an image size of 808 pixels ideally that the image should be if we want it to be really crisp and we want that product photography to be crisp, of 808. So what we can do is we can consider setting a minimum width constraint for this blog post of at least 620, but we know when it's bleeding out we want it to be 808 pixels. So let's head over to the content type builder and take a look at this image field. When we go to the editor properties and we scroll down to dimensions, you can see you can set independent dimensions for both the width and for the height. In this example, I'm going to set the width dimension. I could set an exact width that it must be 808 pixels wide, but I'm going to be a little bit more flexible. So I'm going to say the minimum width of an image that appears within inside this column should be 808 pixels wide. Now this image doesn't get any bigger when I expand the page. It might reduce when I contract it. So I'm going to say it's going to have a minimum width of 808. You might not like that and you might want a kind of a round number, so you might say 820 pixels. So when I save that change now and publish that change, if I was to edit the same entry that I was looking at earlier on, best houseplants for looking after your skin, and I scroll down to these images now, if I go and add a new one, for example, you can see here the images must have a minimum width of 820 pixels, and this ensures that if it was 600 pixels, what the website will be doing currently, it's stretching that image to fit within that column or out of that column, and we'd end up with a slightly pixelated image. And then when you go on a sort of a retina screen, that image would become even more blurry. So let's insert an image now. Again, we're told about the constraint. When we select an image from the gallery now, the gallery will no longer display images that are less than 820 pixels wide. So we're only seeing images that meet our constraint for the center of that blog post. So I can select any one of these. You can see we've got an 840 by 480. So if I was to insert that image now, that image would be displayed on our page and rendered out correctly. And so we're ensuring the quality of our image content meets our designs on the front end. So that was setting a single width dimension. What about our thumbnail image? Here, this image is currently displayed on entry listing pages like our blog listing. So if we look at our blog listing, we can see that that image here is displayed, and it's displayed inside this card, and these cards display images in a square format. So how would we go about updating our content model and our content type to change these images to have a fixed dimension? So to do that, we'll edit the content type. We don't want to save the changes. So the blog listing utilizes this thumbnail image to display that square image. So what we can do on this field is we can go down to its dimensions properties again, and we'll set a width dimension, and we'll set an exact width of, let's say, 400, and set a height dimension of 400 as well. Now, I know this image on our page is currently displayed about 340 pixels. So if we hover over it, yeah, it's 354 by 354. So ensuring our image is 400 will mean that it can be displayed within that area. It'll be scaled down a little bit, but it's not going to pixelate the image. It's still going to remain sharp when it's scaled down from 400. So we'll set those width and height dimensions, and we'll save and publish the changes to the content type. We'll head back over to the blog entry that we were looking at, the best plants for looking after your skin. And we'll scroll down to the thumbnail area. Now, there was already an image applied, but if we go into the crop now, we'll see that the cropped exact dimensions have been applied into the image cropper. And when we select that image, we'll just want the hands to be displayed. So we can't change that crop, it's fixed. We can apply that now, and you can see that that image has been cropped. Now, if we remove that image, we'll see that the fixed dimensions are displayed here. Images must have an exact width of 400 pixels, an exact height of 400. But when we open up the image gallery now, you'll notice that we're not going to display any image that can't meet this 400 by 400 constraint. So for example, if we picked up this bathroom with plants image and we inserted it, we automatically scale down and resize that image and apply those crop constraints for you. So you can see them here in the cropper. So this image I think was something like 1600 pixels when we inserted it. So it scaled it down to 400 and centered the crop. And we can adjust the crop as we see fit and click on apply. And so that image will now go out onto the front end as a 400 pixel image. That image can be scaled down to meet those smaller dimensions, but it also means that the author's got real control on cropping that image to where they want that image to be displayed on their front end site. So we've set a single width dimension, particularly on the width, and we've also set fixed dimensions on this thumbnail image. So that's image constraints in Contensis, giving you flexibility to use different images in different locations with different sizes and giving your authors control of that content.